Not enough is being done to deal with escalating losses. I mean, we have pressures on socio-economic trends, buildings appearing in the wrong places in flood risk areas, but at the same time we also have climate change, and unless that's really factored in, these insurance schemes are not going to be fit for the future. What is important is to recognize that fit for the future means many different things to many different stakeholders. So from an insurance point of view, something that is fit for the future might look actually very different to actually the individual on the ground or even the government. If you take Europe, it's a perfect laboratory for this because we have so many different schemes around. And actually there is a process of trying to explore what can be done, how can these things be sort of made more future-proof. But it is a challenge, and I think not enough is really being done to incorporate future risk trends. The one clear thing that's needed is a holistic approach, because you can't really deal with flood risk in one way only. There's no silver bullet. So I think what has been working quite well is this idea of linking different approaches. Clearly insurance is one aspect. Insurance risk transfer is part of the solution, but it's not the only solution. So actually what needs to happen is that those who are dealing with flood risk taking a holistic view, looking at various elements, starting with current risk, what is currently at risk in terms of infrastructure, communities, disruption, then factoring in these future loss trends. And on that basis, not just considering sort of assets, portfolios, but also consider other stakeholders. It needs to be sort of all-encompassing. And then you can build up a portfolio of, engineering, building dikes. You can take soft measures, making space for water is one thing. And you can integrate insurance. But it really needs to be holistic. I mean, the challenge is large. And it's not the silver bullet of just, choosing one option and then that's it, you're done. Clearly, the key role that insurance is playing in this is risk transfer. And, there is a vast amount of expertise, experience in providing risk transfer at a commercial level. And a lot of that can actually be transferred to residential, to homeowners, and I think we can see that happening. But the role that insurance can play doesn't stop at the risk transfer side. I mean, there's a wealth of information, data, risk information. That's what insurance can bring to the table, and that's already what's happening. That's actually where governments are also quite receptive. They're looking for input. They're looking for ways to deal with flood risk information. A particular interesting aspect in this is this idea of creating a sort of chief risk officer and having that at a sort of local government level or even national government level. And I think that's a particular example where insurers beyond risk transfer could offer some expertise and some input, because that would help those communities at risk to really establish for themselves, the complexity of risk and dealing with it. Working together is clearly sort of the key idea behind this, but it's easier said than done. I always feel that, it's always like a new paradigm. You have to work in partnership. And, clearly there are a lot of reasons why this is not a problem just to be dealt with through the private sector or the public sector. It involves a range of stakeholders. But making that happen and actually creating sort of a successful partnership, that's where the challenge is. Again, there are examples where this has been working quite positively, particularly on the risk data side, where insurers and government have collaborated quite effectively. But I think what really needs to happen is a better understanding of roles and responsibilities. I'm working in a European research project called Enhance that is trying to assess public-private partnerships where insurers and other stakeholders are coming together and trying to really see where each other's roles and responsibilities are. Because that is the basis, that's the sort of fundamental first step that needs to be clarified. And only then can you really point out where each stakeholder can come in and contribute. It's easier said than done. It's a challenge, but I'm quite optimistic because I think there is a shared ground. Insurers, government and stakeholders are increasingly understanding that flood risk is an issue. So, I'm quite optimistic that there is a big potential to actually bring this forward in a positive way.